Yeah.
But not. My understanding is no Jew known to history prior to the rise of Christianity ever expected the Messiah would be killed, would be crucified, and then rise from the dead, or be divine, be God. This was a belief that was. We have no evidence that any Jew ever expected. They expected other kinds of Messiah, as you rightly say, that would be a king like David. That's why Jesus was hailed as a son of David, because that meant that he had that priestly, kingly Messiah role, which was expected, and perhaps to liberate people from the oppression from the Romans and so on. But the Messiah would be God in some way, or would die a horrible death, is, to my knowledge, completely unattested in any Jewish belief before people like Paul came along, Apostle Paul, and others later on after Jesus.
What about Isaiah 52, 53? Have you read those passages?
Yes.
Really well.
Well, if one reads those passages in their context, they're called, that passage, Isaiah 52 to 53, is called a servant song. That's what scholars call it, and it's the fourth of four servant songs. And if you read Isaiah in its context, back to Isaiah 46, and you read it all the way through, the servant is clearly identified as Israel.
It's quite a Jewish idea. It's quite a Jewish idea.
Isaiah was a prophet, was a Jewish prophet. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, this is what Jews today would say as well about that passage. They would say, oh no. I mean, Christians would say that's clearly Christ that's been spoken about. Whereas
yes,
when you're reasoning with Jewish people, they say, oh no, this is like an allusion to the nation of Israel.
Indeed, you're right. What I was trying to do is look at historically. So when the author of Isaiah 52, 53, because there are probably three Isaiahs, but that's a different subject. Deutero-Isaiah, the second Isaiah, wrote the passages we're talking about. If you read it in the historical context, the servant it's referring to is the people of God, Israel. And that's the standard view of biblical scholars now, who try and be objective in their exegesis of these passages. Now, of course, Christians interpret it as referring to the Messiah, but the passage itself never mentions the word Messiah, never mentions the Messiah at all. That's a later... now, your reading could be correct, but it's not what the text itself says. That's a later understanding. And as I said before, no Jew known to history prior to the rise of Christianity ever thought that Isaiah 53 was about Jesus or about a Messiah. No one ever thought that. It wasn't. That's not how they interpret it. It's a highly poetic passage that's speaking about Israel's suffering in Babylon in exile. That's the historical context, and the way the nations view this servant with derision and so on. It is all highly poetic language speaking of the exile of the people of God in Babylon. That's the literary historical context. But there's another meaning which Christians bring to it, which they think it refers to, predicts the Messiah. All I'm saying is that it's not required by the text itself. That's a belief you bring to it, I would argue.